This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
It's going to WrestleMania. Claymore! Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass.
This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
Welcome, everybody, to the WWE Podcast. Sunday, July 27th, 2025. Hope you're all doing well as we close out another week. We're now into a new week, and August starts this week, as well as SummerSlam. So we have officially entered SummerSlam week. If you are into big events on SummerSlam, well, this year will be bigger than ever because of the two nights for the first time ever. Two-night SummerSlam that they're trying to make like a WrestleMania. We'll see how that goes. A lot of matches to get through. A lot of storylines that they have to really final hype this week. Some match, maybe a match or two added to the card. But no doubt, a huge week in wrestling. It already was last week for not so great reasons with the passing of Hulk Hogan. And I have to say, I went out today and I did try to obtain his beer, Real American Beer, and it was sold out everywhere that I went around my local area anyway. And I've been looking online, and I just don't want to pay. The problem is shipping. You know, you can get a 12-pack of it for $13, $14, $15, but then the shipping is double that. And it's like, I'm not paying $35 for a 12-pack of beer, you know, so I'll just wait till it comes back in stock locally. I guess they're stocking them in Walmarts. That may be your best bet if you care about such things. Walmart seems to be more in stock than anywhere else, because if you try to order it online from a dispensary, or brewery, it's going to be double because of the damn shipping. So good luck with that. But that was my venture today. I just wanted to try it. I mean, as everybody else seems to kind of have the same idea. It was sold out everywhere. Sad week last week, and I don't want to go too much into the Hulk Hogan stuff. We will a little bit with the SmackDown tribute that I thought was very nice. I've seen some interviews with Eric Bischoff that he did with Conrad Thompson regarding the passing of Hulk Hogan and, you know, how Eric Bischoff's holding up. And apparently he was officially invited by WWE to attend the SmackDown, but he couldn't attend because he was stuck in Vegas and he may or may not have made the flight in time. So he declined, but was gracious that he was offered the opportunity. And that would have absolutely made sense with Eric Bischoff's relationship and bond that he's had with Terry Bollea over the last 30 plus years, 40 years. I mean, geez, it's been quite some time. So, but Eric Bischoff at this point in time seems to be much kind of still not, as he said, it's not really setting in with him yet. And I think with me, I mean, not that I have any kind of personal relationship with him, but it hasn't really set in with me either. It happened so quick. And Ozzy Osbourne had taken up the day before with his passing that I'm thinking to myself, oh yeah, well, wow, yeah, Hogan's dead? No, that can't be. My brain hasn't fully like comprehended what that it means for wrestling and what that means for just, as a wrestling fan moving forward, that means for WWE moving forward, that means for everything that he was working on moving forward. And you just kind of assume that Hogan's always there in the background because he always has been. And he'll occasionally make an appearance, and those are no more. So again, we'll spend a little time on Hogan, but a lot more to get to in storyline WWE universe, right? Because this is what it's about. We're about to reach crescendo in the summer. SummerSlam, the biggest event of the entire summer season anyway for WWE. The next big event, really the next big one, is Survivor Series, but that's quite a ways off. And we'll see what they turn up on SummerSlam. I know there's a lot of talk about potential returns, and Brock is apparently on the fringe of possibility. Some say he's banned from wrestling. Some say he's got he's a shoo-in to return. We've heard, crazy predictions. The Rock seems to be not able to return, or he's not going to return. As always, I'll believe that when I see it. But even if there's no big returns, it's about the outcomes. It's about the current wrestlers and the storylines that they're trying to wrap up or begin at SummerSlam. And I'm sure that there's going to be a lot of fun surprises and crazy outcomes. How can there not be, as we especially have a redo of John Cena and Cody Rhodes from WrestleMania 41 this past year, having it redone at SummerSlam. You would think that this is their version of a mulligan. They're going to find a way to, in their mind, make this right. Nothing can erase the tragedy that was the end of WrestleMania 41, and let's make no mistake, it was a complete disastrous tragedy of a way to end their biggest event of the entire year. But I think in their minds, and in fans' minds to some degree, they're looking at this as okay, you effed up big time. You done effed up at WrestleMania. What did you really mean to do? We'll give you a second chance. Here you go. So let's see what they pull out of the deck here. All right. Now, before we get going, I want to welcome a new member or two to the Patreon team here, and it's Crystal O. I'll just say that. Crystal O, thank you for joining us over at the Patreon side. Hope you enjoy your ad-free experience. And I've been posting some YouTube videos, and those videos are also going on to Patreon for those of you who are patrons. I'm putting them directly on that feed. And what they are essentially are news or backstage updates that are done not by me, but by a voiceover. But it's new, and I hope you enjoy them. All right, so check it out if you're on Patreon. A good way to go ad-free, patreon.com/WWE podcast. Also, if you want to check me out on another totally unrelated YouTube channel, check me out at Real Eerie Truth, where we cover just kind of crazy stuff, cryptids, ghost stories, near-death experiences, that kind of thing. Over at Real Eerie Truth. There's also a Patreon for that if you are interested in that kind of stuff. You can put it on in the background and just listen, and I think you'll enjoy it. Okay, so let's talk about SmackDown that Amanda did cover and did a nice job this week, as always. So thank you and shout out to Amanda. But let's get into it a little bit, all right? And then we'll cover Monday Night Raw. So the beginning of the show, as expected, was a tribute to Hulk Hogan. Very nicely done. They had Jimmy Hart there. They had Bruce Pritchard, Triple H, Briscoe. Jerry Briscoe was there. And a lot of stars of today were there, obviously, as most of the locker room was out there. And, Sergeant Slaughter was there. Jim Duggan was there. Ted DiBiase, Brian Blair, Jimmy Hart, and Eric Bischoff would have had he not been in Vegas. And Triple H said that there wouldn't be, or he wouldn't be there, and they wouldn't be there had it not been for Hogan. And he asked fans to then observe the 10-bell salute, and the fans did. And we got the 10-bell salute for Hulk Hogan, and then a Hogan chant broke out, and a video package, as always done. I mean, you imagine the turnaround time on these things to have an incredibly high-quality video tribute done within 24 hours, ready to go for national consumption. And the video team at WWE is just second to none. So very well done. I'm sure there'll be more to come. And it covered Hogan's run in the AWA very quickly. And then it talked about Hulkamania, that when it was born, he defeated the Iron Sheik to win the WWF championship. The NWO run in WCW was covered briefly. And then he, quote unquote, came home in 2002 as part of the NWO. And his match against The Rock from WrestleMania 18 aired, which was really cool to hear Jim Ross and Jerry the King Lawler, by the way, just even for a moment on WWE TV. Just, God, I miss that team so much, specifically Jim Ross. I know that he's got his health issues and he's occasionally commentating on AEW when he can, but he's older and he's lost a step or two, and it's just age. I don't fault him in the least. But Jim Ross, even today's Jim Ross, is still not the Jim Ross we remember. And so for a moment, it was kind of fun to hear, like, man, it's like a breath of fresh air. No disrespect to Corey Graves or to Michael Cole, but there's nobody like Jim Ross, man. It's just far and away the best of all time in terms of commentation. So we then have, again, the match from The Rock, which has just been talked about so much. That maybe I didn't understand at the time how big that match was with The Rock, because that happened at WrestleMania 18. And when was that? That was like 2003, Was that 2003? I think, right? And I just remember watching it like, man, the crowd. I was angry at the crowd, and I because I didn't live through Hulkamania. I knew who he was. I knew the legacy. But I didn't really like grasp the concept of cheering or booing The Rock yet. I wasn't ready for people to boo The Rock. And so, I mean, I was on the side of The Rock, but I kind of couldn't help myself. I mean, the energy for Hogan in that match was contagious at home. I mean, it will forever go down as one of the greatest wrestling matches of all time. And interestingly, by today's standards, that match would be horrific by today's standards of what we consider a 5-star match. Think about it. What we consider today, or at least the general wrestling population today, wrestling fan population, would consider a 5-star match more of a gymnastics presentation. The high flying, the counters, the kickouts of 40 finishers. Goes 25 minutes. Kick out, reversal, double clothesline. We know what today's definition of a 5-star match is, yet back in 2003, I feel like it's not 03, but back in WrestleMania 18, we thought, hey, this is a match we'll never forget. It goes to show you that 5-star matches don't have to be wrestling classics, pure wrestling classics in the pro wrestling sense. The story and the crowd really is what drove that, of course, with the star power and the return of Hulk Hogan. People were like, I don't care what you do. Well, I mean, I don't care what you do. We're going to cheer you. That match is just incredible from a standpoint of just what the fans can do to a match, the impact they can have. Toronto will forever be known for that match. Just incredible. So they went over that, and we'll hear a lot more about that, I'm sure, as the days and weeks and months and years go by, and maybe we'll hear more commentary, maybe even from The Rock himself. I mean, we have to hear from The Rock. How can we not at some point? And okay, so we then had his Hall of Fame speech, and we had Levesque say Hogan was the ultimate hero until the end, and he said Hogan died at age 71, but Hulkamania will live forever. And that's when the fans chanted Hogan, and Jimmy Hart's crying and emotional. Yeah, emotional. Again, more tribute to come here, I'm sure. Okay, boy, yeah. So then we got Logan Paul being introduced by Mark Nash. Logan Paul comes to the ring, and Paul was said to be, it was good to be home in Cleveland, and said it's the city that didn't raise him, and said he made the city, and he had nothing in common with the Cleveland fans because he made it out, and they didn't. Paul said he was hosting a live edition of his Impulsive talk show, and he started to talk about Jelly Roll. Then Jelly Roll comes out and said they didn't have to play that song for Paul to know who his daddy is. And Jelly Roll said the only thing Paul has ever inspired were little kids to make videos of themselves being a-holes. And Paul spoke about how he gets to tag in Drew McIntyre, where Orton will tag Jelly Roll. And Paul asked Jelly Roll who he thinks he is. Jelly Roll said he's the guy who will put Paul in a body bag and ship him back to Westlake. And he comes in the ring, and he talks about how Paul's never faced adversity, and he said he'll be representing kids who are picked on by high school jocks like Paul, and Jelly Roll said he had been a WWE fan his entire life, and he represented him and all the fans. Oh boy, if that's not as heavy-handed as it gets, what is? Yeah, well, what? He's basically saying, hey, relate to me. Remember being bullied in high school? I can now make you feel better about being bullied. I can represent you. Vote for me. Jelly Roll then said Paul makes fun of his story, but it's inspired millions around the world. Paul said it's inspired rednecks around the world, and Jelly Roll said Paul is a soft Charmin and called him prime peddling punk A.B. And lots of cuss words there. Okay. There's more. Drew McIntyre comes in, and Jelly Roll said Paul and McIntyre made a mistake if they thought they came alone. Randy Orton comes out, and he hit Jelly Roll. I'm sorry. Randy Orton made his entrance, entered the ring, and Orton hit McIntyre, and then all four men fought. McIntyre then raked the eyes at ringside and then returned to the ring and hit Jelly Roll from behind. Paul then starts beating down Jelly Roll, and Orton and McIntyre go to the floor. Jelly Roll threw a few punches at Paul and knocked him down with a shoulder block, and Paul kicked Jelly Roll, who dropped to his knees, and then Jelly Roll hit an elbow and then a black hole slam. Orton joined Jelly Roll, Orton is, look, I think Jelly Roll's been decent on the microphone, but why shouldn't he be? He's used to talking in front of crowds, singing in front of crowds. So there's a little bit of that he can translate into what you need to be good at this job, which is promos. So he's okay. He's passable. In the ring, he's doing a little bit more than I expected, but it's not going to be more than this. I know he's been training at the Performance Center, and I understand that, and I can appreciate that. And he's trying to respect the business, which is, to me, first and foremost. That's at the forefront of everything. Do you respect the business, or are you here to laugh and wink and nod and pretend with your friends for 10 minutes and make all the wrestlers look like a-holes while you get to leave and go back onto your music tour and leave WWE behind? And that's happened before. Jelly Roll's willing to take a little bit of a beating here. He'll take more at SummerSlam, and his performance here was fine. It's as good as you could expect a celebrity guest to do. And I appreciate that he respects the business. And that's good. That is, to me, a big positive. He's lost a lot of weight to get into the position he's in, and he's doing the best he can. And hey, he's also putting the lives and health of the wrestlers he's working with at risk. So it's not just him. He has to worry about it, of course, himself, but the people he's working with, more importantly, because they're going to take care of him. Can he take care of them? Now, he's not going to be doing pile drivers and superplexes, and he's not going to be doing suicide dives through the ropes. He's not going to be doing Spanish flies. Okay. He's been doing basic moves like we saw, but safe slams, and that slam, the black hole slam he gave to Logan Paul, was good. But you know what? You got to give as much credit to Jelly Roll as you give to Logan Paul, because Logan Paul is the one who's making him look good. There is nobody on the roster right now, or very few. Maybe Sami Zayn's one. Miz is always one. Austin Theory's another. The guys that they use to introduce new talent or work with celebrities because they know they'll always make them look good. Logan Paul, while he is ironically a celebrity himself before he came in, is a perfect candidate to help a star that is coming in temporarily, like Jelly Roll, who's limited in the ring compared to Logan Paul, to make him look good, to make it safe. Like, Logan Paul is the perfect candidate for this. So Jelly Roll and Logan Paul are mostly going to be the ones working together. I don't think Jelly Roll and Drew McIntyre are going to be working much with each other. I really hope there's really almost no offense that Jelly Roll gets on Drew McIntyre. It would be a travesty if Jelly Roll has any kind of significant offense on Drew, given what Jelly Roll is, given the name of Jelly Roll. You couldn't come up with a less intimidating name than Jelly Roll. Now, I know he's not supposed to be a wrestler. He's a musician called Jelly Roll that's coming in, and he's not changing his name, which is fine. But transitioning that name into wrestling is just by definition going to be a very unintimidating name. Okay. And it just is what it is. So there's that. And also, can Orton tone it down? Can Orton tone down his excitement for Jelly Roll being in the ring with him? Can we just get an RKO on Jelly Roll and be done with it? I would love to see that. Can we just do that? Why is Orton euphoric every single time he's in the ring with Jelly Roll? Is he purposely overselling this? I mean, you got to get to that point. I've seen Orton tag with legends. You've seen it. He's been in the business for 20 years, 25 years nearly on the main roster. And he's acting orgasmic. He's acting orgasmic in the ring every time he's in there with Jelly Roll. I have to hope an RKO is coming for Jelly Roll at SummerSlam. Please. I'm not buying it from Randy Orton. Randy Orton's a legend in this business. Truly. truly a real living legend in this business, and you have Jelly Roll, who's an outside musician, come there, and suddenly Orton is starstruck. Why? I know that they've probably told him, look, you got to be excited. Yeah, okay, fine. You can't look like you're better than Jelly Roll, but you are by an infinite margin in the ring. Infinite. And we're supposed to believe that, by the mere presence of Jelly Roll next to Orton, it's like the second coming of Christ. I don't get it. It's getting a little too much. This whole Jelly Roll story, while it hasn't been the worst thing I've ever seen, it can't come to an end soon enough, and specifically for Randy Orton and for Drew. They need to move on. All right, Logan Paul has proven his worth. Logan Paul, we know what he is. We know how damn good he is, and he is. You can hate on his social media. You can hate on his ventures outside the ring, his personal issues. You can't objectively touch what he's capable of inside the ring and how he continues to improve on the mic. He's got it. He's putting all the pieces together at record pace. I've got nothing to say on that. He just is. And there's a lot of good years ahead of us if he continues to stick with it. And for him. All right, then we have Alexa Bliss with Charlotte Flair who takes on Roxanne Perez with Raquel Rodriguez at ringside. This match went 7 minutes and 20 seconds. Roxanne does beat Alexa, but the finish is interesting. And it's interesting not in the way that I'm concerned, let me just get into it. Bliss went up for Twisted Bliss. She was distracted by Rodriguez attacking Flair on the outside. Rodriguez set up for a powerbomb that, of course, took way too long. But Bliss dove onto Rodriguez and then came up holding her nose, which, she had a clearly broken nose. And Bliss returned to the ring and was rolled up by Perez and pinned. And I was a little bit concerned here for the reaction. And maybe people are just kind of somber and drained from potentially the Hulk Hogan passing. Or this just was not a hot crowd. They were not hot for Flair, and they were cold during certain segments of the show that they should have been a little bit hotter for. So I wasn't not particularly impressed with this crowd. So I'm going to put less of the onus on the creative here and more on the fact that this crowd was just a little bit cold. And just kind of the way I felt that this went here. But Charlotte continues to do nicely. And that's what I was looking for here, is how is the crowd continuing to react to Charlotte? And they didn't boo her because she's not on the mic. She's not standing there in the ring with a spotlight on her in one of her, one of her outfits that she likes to wear to show dominance or to show that she's better than everybody else. No, Charlotte's not talking. It's amazing when Charlotte just shuts up and wrestles what the crowd does. They're like, hey, all right, well, you're not going after the women's title and you're not talking, so all right, I can get behind this. And I think that's at a very elementary level the reason why the fans have started to gravitate towards Charlotte. All right, so backstage, Kathy Kelly interviews Jade Cargill, who said she would show everyone at SummerSlam why she's a natural-born champion. Oh, really? Well, okay then, if you say so. We got essentially nothing from Jade. This did nothing. In fact, it just hurt her, the fact that she doesn't say much, and you can't say you're a natural-born champion. So that means essentially that is by proxy saying that you are naturally better than the vast majority of people, just by the fact that you were born. Who's writing this crap? Unless your goal is to turn her heel, what's happening here? All right, so Chelsea, Piper, and Alba then show up after Jade was out of the picture, and Green sent Niven and Fire to security perimeter to get her coffee. And Green badmouthed Jade, who came back and stood behind her. And Green figured out that Jade was behind her and got punched. And roughed up Green and carried her to the gorilla position and onto stage. And Jade threw Green inside the ring, where a referee was just conveniently standing. It was just totally happenstance. And we get Jade Cargill and Chelsea Green. Totally ad lib. Who knows what match was supposed to happen, but that match be damned, because Jade decided to punch Chelsea and we get a match which went 8 minutes and 10 seconds. And the finish was Green going for the unprettier, and Cargill escaped and hit Jaded. After the match, Fire entered the ring, Alba Fire, and super kicked Jade. Niven joined in. And that's when Tiffany Stratton comes out to help Jade and clear the ring of Niven and Fire. And we got the tug of war. Does WWE ever learn? The tug of war visual is just horrible. And I'm not picking on Jade. I'm not picking on Tiffany. I'm not picking on anybody that does this. It's just in principle, the visual of people having a tug of war over a championship is childish. This is what kids do on a playground, except they resolve it much quicker. I get the symbolism, okay? I know what they're trying to convey, but it's an incredibly childish way, just an eye-rolling way to get the message across. I don't need people pulling and tugging. And do you get the picture? And they might as well just both freeze and stare at the hard cam and smile. I mean, like, that's essentially what they're going to, I mean, that's what they're doing. They're trying to get the visual. We get the visual without you doing it overtly. So I've never been a fan of this. We saw this infamously with, was it Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns? I think it was right before WrestleMania 31 with the cash-in of a century, or the heist of a century, sorry. The legendary call by Michael Cole there. That was one of the worst. And we've seen more since then, but this is just another rehash of like, no one can ever do this right. Okay. This never looks good when they're just ceremoniously standing there trying to tug on each other. It's not like it's happening in the middle of a match where one's holding it and the other one's trying to grab it and try to use it as a weapon. And then they stand it. And maybe the person who's not champion yet is able to pull it away and then kind of stares at it. That's fine. That's fine. Somebody who's not a champion can have an opportunity to grab the championship belt itself, the physical belt. But you don't have this standoff tug of war like children. Okay, again, not picking on Tiffany here, not picking on Jade. But beyond that, the crowd was not into this, at least from what I heard. And maybe the people in attendance, if someone attended, send in your notes. Let me know if the crowd actually was hot or not here, because it felt like you guys were not asleep, but I don't know, kind of talking in your sleep maybe. It felt like it was a little bit noisy at times, but people just didn't seem to care about Jade or Chelsea Green in this match. And Tiffany Stratton woke them up for sure. But when it comes to Jade, people are they're not particularly interested. When she was getting beat down by Fire and Niven, crowd was just kind of like, oh, okay, all right, well, I guess someone's going to come out here, and they did, and people like Tiffany. So then, again, the crowd came to life there, but the crowd didn't have any sympathy for Jade, who was getting her ass kicked by two women there. They were just kind of like watching. All right. We then have Cody Rhodes come out. All right. This is where things get a little bit edgy. So we said yesterday, WWE and pro wrestling lost one of its giants in Hulk Hogan. He said he knew that emotions and feelings regarding it were complicated, but what's not complicated are his accomplishments and contributions of pro wrestling and sports entertainment. He said they are staggering and indisputable, and he said that as someone who gets to say he's a WWE superstar, Hogan was the original, and he just wanted to say thank you to Hogan. And then he shifted his focus to John Cena, which I'll get to. But before we do, Cody, and I don't care who this said, who uttered this on air. Again, I'm not picking on the Cody Rhodes character as much as I'm picking on whoever wrote this, or if Cody himself did. Not the character, the people, because this is a real life event. I mean, someone died. This isn't a pro wrestling storyline with Hulk Hogan here. This is real thoughts from a brain, from someone's real brain, not their character. And this is a clear nod to, hey, we know that Hogan said some racist stuff back in the late 2000s, and yeah, we know that you guys are, we know that things are complicated. No, they're really not, Cody. And to the rest of the world that feels like they need to complicate the death of Hulk Hogan. No, they don't. He is a human being like everybody. And he died, and he has a family and kids, and he has a wife, right? He has people that love him like most of us do. And there's nothing complicated about that. But they feel like they have to, or Cody did, whoever okayed this, feel like they have to toe the line to talk about, well, yeah, I know things complicated. It's nuanced. No. You don't need to pander to that side of those. Again, I think it's a minority, those that are celebrating the death of Hulk Hogan. You don't need to even acknowledge those people. Okay? Because those of you, and there are some, even prominent people on major wrestling news sites, I'm not going to name names, you can go look at my mentions on X, that are celebrating the death of Hulk Hogan by talking about how he was racist and that his, look at all his contributions. But hey, guys, look at these things, bad things he did. If anybody wants to challenge me on some prominent historical figure that had a squeaky clean record, I'd love to know who that is. I don't even know a single prominent figure in like legendary historical prominent figure, public figure, that didn't do things that were objectionable by today's standards. But if you look back, no one would have said anything. No one would have said anything. Right? It was just the way of life back then. Now, I'm not saying that things were okay to be racist back in 2009 or whatever he said those comments. I'm not saying it's fine. No. I mean, like, obviously those are bad. But there is apparently no forgiveness. I mean, everyone has said and done bad things behind closed doors. And if you're like, oh, that's not me, I'd never. Okay, well then why don't I have it? If you were able to publish a transcript of your entire life of things you've said forever, here's everything you've ever said, would you want it published tomorrow? I know I wouldn't. Certainly, like I've said, and if you heard me in my last show, I said, hey, if you saw the things and heard the things that I've said in my life in a totality, you guys, you wouldn't believe it, right? You'd be like, no. Oh, yeah. The things we say behind closed doors. That's why we say them behind closed doors. So my point is that every historical figure, and I'm not saying Hulk Hogan was a pillar of building the American society, right? Like, he's not somebody that is. He was instrumental in, the infrastructure, and he was part of the American Revolution, and he was a general leading the U.S. to victory. No, none of that. But from a pop culture perspective, he's one of the biggest of all time, if not arguably the biggest, you could say. So that being said, there are a lot of questionable people that have died that have been pillars in their entertainment genre that have done insanely questionable things behind closed doors and said things that have been insanely objectionable. Does that mean that everything that they've contributed to society should be immediately erased because of the bad things that they said or did? Now, if it was something, that as they were, convicted of murder and, like, for example, Chris Benoit. Now, he's not a pillar of pop culture, but you could do something so extreme that it does kind of cancel out your achievements. You kind of have to bury that because it's hard to disconnect. But for things that everyone has done before, which is say bad things or say things that you regret saying, we're supposed to just dehumanize that person to the point where all of their contributions don't matter. Be careful the standard that you hold on that one. Because I can guarantee with 100% certainty that those people who are crucifying Hulk Hogan for the things he said in the past and minimizing the things he's contributed because of those comments are the same people that you can guarantee behind closed doors have said and did things that if they were ever brought to light would either be in jail or forever shamed. It's true. So, not trying to go into a too much of a side rant there, but there are still people who are just delusional and just have so much hate inside of them that and they're not going to change their minds, and that's fine. We don't need them to, but those people exist, sadly. And Cody Rhodes talking again, full circling this whole thing here, talking about how it's complicated. No, it's really not, Cody. It's really not. You don't need to appease yourself to that segment of the audience that it's complicated. No, pretty straightforward, Cody. We have one of the biggest wrestlers of all time die. One of the biggest contributors to what you are doing right now. You may not be here if it had not been for him. Die. And we need to call it complicated? No, it's not. It's as clear cut as it gets. He was a human being with flaws, like all of us. That's it. All right. So Cody then talked about his street fight with John Cena at SummerSlam. He said it wasn't about virtue or victory, it's about violence. And said he doesn't want to wrestle this John Cena, which he said many times before, but he said he didn't want to fight a guy who didn't want the match in the first place, or the guy who is counting the days he's out the door. And he wants to fight the real John Cena, who talks to the cameraman and runs to the ring and brings hustle and loyalty and respect and blah, blah, blah. And he said he needs to face the real John Cena so that the story they've been a part of isn't fantasy. It's not just legacy. And he said he needs to know it meant something and that it was real. He said the only person that has the answer to that is John. And he'd see Cena next week and drop the mic. Okay. Yeah. I think we're all here, though. We're all in, even though I despise most of everything that Cody Rhodes' character does. I'm in the camp of Cody Rhodes. If you're going to have, this is the final time you'd imagine, Cody Rhodes versus John Cena, and probably, likely, I should say, the last time John Cena is going to hold the belt, because I think he'll probably drop it at SummerSlam, have him do it as the babyface. We've seen heel John Cena. It's been generally a womp for a number of reasons that I won't dive into here. It's time to just go back to being John Cena, the guy that's just going to get cheered anyway because the fans realize he's almost done here. We've only got a few months left. Just do it. Have him drop the belt. Let's not wait till December. Have Cody take it. If you want to do a double turn, hey, cool, fine. But just get the belt off of Cena. We can all appreciate John Cena here. The fans they'll re-embrace him here because it's all about real life is going to trump anything he's trying to manipulate us with his words. And he is a master of words, but there's nothing John Cena can say or do, as I've mentioned before, that will get the fans to boo him because real life and the real event of him leaving, which is actually happening, will supersede anything he's trying to do to get us to boo him. It's not going to work. Real life will take over here, and they might as well just go with the flow. They tried it. I appreciate the heel turn. It didn't work, again, for a number of reasons, but let's just go. Let's move on. All right. So then we got The Miz showing up, and he said he and Fatu had unfinished business. Miz said Fatu put him out just long enough for him to remember who he is. Miz said he's not a target. He's the main character. That's as funny as it gets. I mean, he's just never. Miz said he went to Nick Aldis to get the match. And Miz was fired up about being in his hometown. I'm the Miz. I'm back. And he slapped Fatu across the face. Fatu laughed while asking if that's what it's coming to. And yeah, so, okay. Miz is just going to get his ass kicked. We know that. But Jacob Fatu versus The Miz. As expected, Jacob Fatu beats The Miz in just under 8 minutes. And he had a pop-up Samoan drop on The Miz and got the victory. After the match, Solo and his crew attacked Fatu, and Jimmy Uso ran out through a chair at Mateo, super kicked Loa. Jimmy cleared Solo from the ring and then hit Tala Tonga with chair shots. And Tala shook off the chair shots and dropped Jimmy with a big boot. That was nice to see. Tala's really getting some shine here. Solo entered the ring while Tala held Fatu. Fatu fought free and hit super kicks on Loa and Tala and then hit Solo with a hip attack. And Fatu picked up the chair, looked at Solo, who was seated in the corner. Fatu wrapped the chair around Solo's head. I think the second week in a row he's tried this. He was going to go for it, but Tala Tonga turned him inside out with a clothesline, and he removed the chair, and Solo eventually delivered a Samoan spike to Fatu, which was good. I mean, this is what you want. You want to see people saving Solo's ass because Solo is the main target, even though Tala Tonga is doing the dirty work for Solo. And they're really trying to build Tala Tonga as a monster, and they should continue to do so. I also like how the chokeslam is Tala Tonga's finish. That's a finish we haven't seen in a while. And I don't want to hear South of Heaven chokeslam. No. A true-to-life Undertaker-esque chokeslam or Kane-esque chokeslam. Tala Tonga's got the height. It's believable. It's a finish that needs to come back. I like it. All right. And then, let's see here. We get some other stuff backstage that was Zelina Vega, and she was approached by women's champion Julia backstage, and Kiana James interrupted and told Vega that she represents Julia, so Vega would have to go through her if she wanted to speak with Julia. Vega blew off James and told Julia that she was there to talk about her rematch, and James said she already spoke to Nick Aldis, who said Vega would get her rematch next week. And then James said that when Julia beats Vega again, Vega would be nothing more than a footnote. All right, fine. Yeah, I mean, it's good to see that Zelina's getting a rematch that we know is going to end in her not winning, but at least there is a rematch here. So that's good. But, okay, then we get a main event here of a tag team match. Yes, a tag team match. Write it down. Main event SmackDown. And that's something you will not see twice in a row. I mean, I would be... In fact, it's just not going to happen that the tag team division main events Raw or SmackDown 2 weeks in a row. It can't happen just by, it's science. The WWE will not do it. Now they'll say, oh, well, see, the tag team division is main eventing SmackDown. Yeah, great. Once every 6 months, maybe. And so it's not a knock. It's just the way it is. Objectively looking at the tag team division is never a focus of the company, but cool to see for a night. As Dexter Lumis and Joe Gacy take on Rey Fenix and Andrade for the WWE Tag Team titles. This match only went 6 minutes and 20 seconds because of DQ and Nikki Cross pulling the referee out of the ring. Yes, Nikki Cross. And after the match, Eric Rowan did have a pretty dominant performance here. He attacked the challengers. Axiom and Nathan Frazier come out. He caught him with going for a top rope dive and threw him at his partner, and then Rowan got the better of them, better of Motor City Machine Guns, before Street Profits come out and end up clearing the ring. And that's when Nick Aldis comes out with DIY, Gargano and Ciampa, who were hit with suicide dives by Axiom and Frazier. I mean, it was chaos. It's chaos. So Aldis gets in the ring, says he's had enough. He's booked all the teams at SummerSlam in a TLC match for the WWE Tag Team titles. That's when the brawl resumed and the show went off. So fine. It feels like it's been a hot minute since we've seen a TLC match. Nice to see again the tag team division main eventing a show and a televised show. And I think this match is going to be insane at SummerSlam. I mean, bumps and bruises. I don't think I've ever said that in the show. It's late. Bumps and bruises galore. These men are going to just kill each other in a breathtaking way. And I mean that in a complimentary way, but also a concerning way as a human being. I'm worried for the health and safety of these men because of what they're capable of without, ladders and chairs and tables, the things that they're going to do with them. I mean, on a huge stage in a stadium, I'm scared. I'm legitimately nervous for their health and well-being. But it's a great option here, and I think it's gonna be a match that could potentially steal the show, as we all know what they're all capable of. And I mean, I don't know what else to say about it. I'm putting it over like Rover here. It's gonna be a match that is highly anticipated. I wouldn't be surprised. You could make the case that it main events one of the nights, but I highly doubt it. They'll probably open the show with this match. They'll open SummerSlam with this match, and hey, you know what? Why not? You got a fresh crowd ready to go. This match could be 20, 25 minutes with all these men, and it'd be awesome. So let's continue here. And by the way, the crowd did pop pretty big for having the TLC match at SummerSlam. They actually did seem to be pretty interested in that, which was good. As I said, the crowd was generally quiet, but hot occasionally. So let's go to Monday Night Raw very briefly. And let's see here. I'm clicking around here because I'm trying to find it. Monday Night Raw took place July 21st. Forget exactly where it was from. Oh, the Toyota Center in Houston. That's where it was. So Punk comes out. He and Gunther have a back and forth, a little bit of back and forth, but mostly Gunther talking to him and Gunther telling him they both have egos and that his ego's justified and he'd make Punk regret ever stepping foot in a professional wrestling ring. Punk did not have a very good night there. He didn't have a lot of time to speak, I'm guessing, because he was very generic, didn't say much. I think that'll change this week. As a reminder, Sheamus beats Rusev in 15 minutes. I'm giving the results here. And Joaquin Wilde and Cruz del Toro beat the New Day and in a triple threat, and Brutus Creed and the Creed brothers in 9 minutes and 25 seconds to earn a World Tag Team title shot. We had, let's see here, Valkyria and Lynch have a very awkward and not good segment. And the crowd didn't care about it, and we're just they seem exhausted by Lyra and Becky for the Intercontinental title, but that's made for SummerSlam. Then we get a match with Raquel and Roxanne versus Lyra and Bayley for the women's tag team titles. And Raquel and Roxanne defeat Lyra and Bayley in 14 minutes. We had Sami Zayn being interviewed, who then faced Karrion Kross, with Karrion Kross beating Sami Zayn in 10 minutes. We had then Io Sky take on Stephanie Vacour, and that match went nearly 16 minutes, which was very pleasant. I remember enjoying this match despite the fact that it did end in a no contest, because Chelsea Green came in and caused that to happen. And Rhea Ripley getting a huge pop, coming out to hit Niven with a big boot at ringside, and I mean that was a fun moment. And then we get Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman and the Jey Uso and Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed segment. I mean, this was a lot of fun seeing Braun Breaker get a breakout performance the way he did against Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns continues to show that he's probably at his height in terms of what he can reach on the mic. Roman Reigns he is vastly improved from the big dog days, but you can still see the shades of his big dog character with his facial expressions. His kind of like his squinty eyes when he gets to the point of he doesn't know what to say, so he just looks like he's off put by his opponents. And then he calls Paul Heyman a dumbass a couple times, which is as sophomoric as it gets. It's not clever, it's not witty, it's just kind of okay, you call him a dumbass, all right. Again, you're going against one of the greatest, if not the greatest of all time on the mic. It's going to be very difficult to outduel Paul Heyman on the mic. You're not going to do it. And also you're not having a match with him, so you don't have to. But Roman Reigns continues to show that he's as good as he's going to get. And he is a walk-in Hall of Famer. And it's just the way it is. I couldn't cut a promo the way he does. Roman Reigns, as much as I criticize his kind of promo ability generally, he could destroy me in a promo. I mean, he doesn't need to be a great promo because of what he can do in the ring, his presence, everything he's contributed to the business, all the moments he's given us. It doesn't even matter anymore. So, but Breaker had a breakout performance, pun intended, and it was just really good. Really good. All right. So that's your Monday Night Raw / SmackDown / Week in Review. Obviously, the tragedy of Hulk Hogan is taking front and center, as it should be. And that'll do it for my podcast here tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you want to go ad-free, patreon.com/WWE podcast. Follow us on YouTube. Search out the WWE podcast, or you can go on, search our other podcast we do that is Real Eerie Truth, right? Real Eerie Truth is another show we do that is done by another voiceover that just covers crazy, eerie stuff. Check us out. Subscribe. We're also on Patreon as well. And this is a big week for wrestling, obviously, because of the SummerSlam, which means we're going to have previews and predictions. That'll be coming your way as soon as possible, maybe even earlier than Friday, because I'm traveling a little bit on Friday night, Saturday night. I won't be around, so I'll be having to watch SummerSlam from a distance, but I can still contribute as much as possible. And if a need be emergency show happens, I can still do it. It'll be from a car again, because that's where I record my shows whenever I leave. But that said, that's my schedule this week, guys. A little bit weird, but I'll still get my preview and prediction in as quickly as I can, maybe Wednesday or Thursday, and then that way Friday's free. So, all right, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us. I hope you enjoyed it. Take care. We'll talk soon.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.